Hey, hello everyone. Sean here, office hours. Perhaps I should have a better screen than this, but let me stop sharing my screen because I was going to bring up the office hours screen and then I'll share it in a second. We shall get back to that office hours and we'll see if there's anything on the Google Sheet. And if not, we're just going to go and do an entire day of Q&A. All right. And tomorrow, like I said, when I was doing the little preamble before I pressed the record button, is we will go in and do a hot seat, 2 hot seats actually. We have some fixes on mobile responsiveness that have come through. There's a couple things you got to do. I'll show you and we'll go from there. Okay. So, wow, let me in. Look at Max Bounty. Where's their security? Didn't even, oh, you guys can see my screen actually. Screen is paused. I'll resume share. All right, perfect. Okay. Actually, Sean Grimes said mobile was fixed on his pages yesterday. I don't know, there we go. All right. Now, I don't want people to be like, well, my pages don't look good. My pages, hold on. Tomorrow, literally 26 hours from this very moment, we will have some live demoing where I'll show you guys what you need to do to make your pages look really, really good, okay? One thing that happened, I think, from what I hear from support is there was a loss of bullet points in the text builder, okay? So you might not be able to do bullet points in the interim. I don't know why we needed to remove, I'm not a tech guy. I don't know why we needed to remove bullet points to get mobile responsiveness to work, but I think that's a good trade-off, okay? And you don't really need bullet points in your headline, your button, anything like that. So that's below the fold content. It shouldn't matter anyways. You know, let me get back to you on that tomorrow, and I'm going to walk you guys through it. So stay patient. One more day, okay? Can I run the same landing page on both Microsoft and Google at the same time? Definitely. Yep, you sure can. When you get to the, when we get to like third-party tracking, we're going to use a software called FunnelFlux, totally optional, recommended, but optional. It's like $100 a month. I know it's another added cost, nothing we can do about it. That's why I say optional. I think it pays for itself in the long run because it gives you more insights. We'll talk about that later. But when you do that, you will likely want to have 2 separate pages, and you'll see why when we get there. But for now, my answer is totally yes. Does office hours go through mid-March? Yeah, we'll go all the way into March. Usually we stop office hours when like the core modules of the program are over. So around like module 9 or 10 or something like that. And then we'll shift into, you know, either we'll have regular coaching. I'm not sure how we're going to do it this year. In the past, we've done regular webinars. And you know what, actually, I'll ask this at the end of this webinar and get a little gauge. But in the past, we've done regular webinars. Please don't post your answer right now. We'll ask later. Think about this. Don't post, but think about it. In the past, we've done like bi-monthly webinars, like throughout the summer. But what I found is it gets less engaging. You get into July, August, and you know, I end up with like sometimes a handful of people on a webinar and it's a real slog, you know, and it's like, I want to give you guys value, but I obviously love you all to death, but I think you can understand, I'd rather be out there, you know, on the golf course than sitting here talking to like 10 people. And clearly nobody's interested in what I have to say. I could have been out on the golf course instead of 1 in the afternoon on a July afternoon, right? Or, you know, we might instead move towards like weekly coaching calls where maybe it's not me, but it's one of our coaches. And sometimes it's me, sometimes it's Abe, but it's like one of our coaches that's just consistently going through the program with you, helping you guys through and so on and so forth. And maybe we make a webinar or something in there. So think about that for the next 30 minutes. And then I'll do a poll at the end, very informal, but just get a gauge of what everybody's head is at. Don't post your answer yet, please don't. Okay. I was using propeller ads for what about using propeller ads for our campaigns too? I love questions like it gets my blood going. I've been in the CPA space for so long that it's always cool when somebody comes up with something that is completely different from what we're doing. So propeller ads, these are based on, what is it? It's propeller, I've heard of them. I believe it is a, what you would see on Max Bounty as your, not contextual. Is it contextual? 1 second here. Let's just go ahead and offer. Yeah, contextual, okay? Like these popover type ads, ad formats, push. Okay, it's interstitial. is the same as contextual. And then you have push notifications. You guys have seen this too. You go to a website and you'll be asked in the middle of a bar, would you like to receive push notifications? Okay. So that's what Propeller Ads does. I'll be straight up with you. I know what this is, never spent $1 on it, period. So I couldn't tell you at all. I'm the wrong person to offer training and support on Propeller Ads. But if you want to give it a shot, I know that like a click is like a penny, but these are going to be your lowest of the low audience. Somebody going to like Sports Illustrated to read about the terrible holding call that ruined the Super Bowl is probably not looking to, you know, get a rent to own home at that moment in time, right? So when they click on the ad that talks about how brutal that holding call was, and it opens up a new tab, right? And here's the article about how the refs really screwed up the Super Bowl. Underneath, an ad pops up on rent to own home. How likely is that person going to be to like start clicking on it? Probably not very good. Now, part of the game is when you work with Propeller Ads, I know, is they have what's called widgets, a widget ID, right? And a widget is a website. So Sports Illustrated, for example, could be a widget, but you don't actually know what Sports Illustrated's widget ID is. So when you look at your traffic stats, you'll see ID 1, ID 4, ID 102. And you'll have to like look at the widgets and be like, okay, this widget is sucking. This widget's actually pretty good. But you don't have an ability in the beginning to sit there and say, okay, I'm in rent own homes. I want to show my ads on like housing websites. You just don't have that ability. So it's about like throwing traffic out there and then eliminating the bad stuff. You have no ability to actually try and target good stuff. So I hate it. I don't have any control. It's very interrupt-based marketing. I know people that do this and literally have to spend like tens of thousands of dollars to dial it in. It can be very powerful. You can literally spend like $1,000 in 5 minutes. It's super high amounts of traffic, but it's also very low quality. So when you dial it in, yeah, you can crush it. You could probably spend $40,000, $50,000 a day, but you got to like spend a lot of money to like weed out all the garbage. So you're left with the good stuff. So I really don't like that ad platform personally. I know lots of people that do it, but I stay away from it. I like control. I like Google. I know if I pick a keyword, you know, cheap foreclosure homes, that's very targeted. And I'm only going to attract people that typed a search term around that keyword into Google and clicked on my ad. And that is going to give me super high quality traffic. And there's tons of traffic on Google and Bing. Okay. Great question, though. Great question. When we search new keywords, do we add them to an existing ad or start a new ad? How many ads should we be running at one time? Okay, so I want to just like make sure we step back and we're talking about the same thing. I think you're talking about an ad group, right? You have a campaign, right? Campaign is like rent to own. Inside the campaign, maybe I'll bring it up like this instead of me going like this with my hands. Let me draw it out for you, okay? My crew drawing. Was there office hours yesterday? Yes, Larry, I'll answer that while my PowerPoint's pulling up. Yes, there was, and the replay will be in the 123 Profit members area, okay? So the way it works, right, is you have your campaign. I'm gonna draw this. So let's say rent to own, right? Rent to own campaign. Okay, that's just what you call it. And this is where you would do like your settings for like your bids, your budget, sorry, not your bids, your budget, turning on and off search partners, devices, ad schedules, things along those lines. You do there. And then from there, oops, what is happening here? Ooh, there we go. Nope. All right, come on, copy, paste. All right, perfect. From there, you will have ad groups, okay? So we might have different themes. So we have like an apartment ad group, right? Okay. And then, there we go. We might have like a house ad group. And we might have, remember I say get 3 to 5 ad groups. So then we might have like a, I don't know, low income. All right. And then within there, And the ad group is where like you set your bids and things along like that. And then under there, you have like apartment keywords, you know, cheap apartments, how to get an apartment, low cost apartments, bad credit apartments. I need an apartment near me, whatever. Okay. And same thing here, you would have your, your house keywords. Okay. And then you'd have your low income keywords over here. All right. And then from there, you would have one ad one. And then here you would have ad one. And then here you would have ad one. Okay. So you have a rent to own campaign. You call your ad group apartment theme. Okay. You start bidding, you set your settings in the campaign, and the ad group, you're ready to go. In the ad group, you add 15 to 20 or more keywords that trigger this one ad that's related to this entire ad group. Okay. Campaign, this is the structure. Okay. Boom, 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 boom. And if I was draw like a line, I don't think you need me to draw a line, but like this ad group has a bunch of 20 keywords in it, which has one ad. This ad group has 20 keywords in it, which has one ad. That one ad will be triggered by all these keywords. You don't need to add more than one ad, because in the ad itself, we're creating a bunch of responsive headlines and a bunch of responsive descriptions. Google, Microsoft, they're going to sort through them. They're going to determine like what your best ones are, and they're probably going to send all the traffic to those best ones. Okay. So when you add new search keywords using the training, right? Let's say you go into the search term reports over here. Oops. Apparently I don't know how to copy and paste today, guys. Okay. Well, over here, you now have your search terms too, right? Search terms, all right, that are kind of over being fed by the keywords, right? And you're going to turn off bad ones. Those are bad, they're off. And you're going to find good ones, and you're going to feed the good ones into the ad group theme. Okay. Hopefully that makes sense. Bad ones off, good ones go in, and that's how you add more. Or if you do more research, you keep adding and just add more to the theme, and you can have as many as you want. Some of these themes could have hundreds of keywords. Okay. Start with 15 to 20 and keep going up. And that's just the easiest way to manage it. So hopefully that makes a lot of sense. Okay. Got it. All right. I created an offer and everything was connecting with page 1 to page 2 to page 3. I created a second offer and the pages connect, but the first offer does not connect from page 1 to 2 anymore. Not sure how to resolve that. Really hard for me to see, Sonia, because like obviously I can't see your back float funnels there. I would open up I hate saying it, but I would open up a ticket and just ask, maybe make a quick loom. And if there's a technical issue or maybe there's something you missed, we can help you fix that. Okay. I linked the privacy policy ETC, and once clicked on them, it brought up a 404 error. I don't know. Again, I can't see exactly how you hyperlinked that. I would challenge you, for lack of a better term, to like maybe go back and just check you have the pages exactly right. Like, for example, if I go to, Shauna is currently host. Okay, fine. Perfect, I can close that there. But if I was to go to surveylocator.usa.com and I scroll down here, you should be able to hover over and you could see, if you look, guys, and look in the bottom left corner, you'll see surveylocator.usa.com/privacy. My privacy policy page is named privacy. Okay, if I click on it, it works. So if you're getting a 404, the error 404 literally means page does not exist. That's what 404 means on every website in the world. And so that to me means the URL you have on your page here is very likely not correct. So double check your URL there, make sure that it is linking out to an existing page. And make sure you go check your privacy policy page and see what that URL is. Maybe you think it's privacy, but it's actually like privacy policy or privacy 2 or something like that. That would be what I would think. And if somehow that, you're like, no, my link is fine, whatever, then open up a ticket, because that's really weird. But that would be my thoughts. I don't get any views or clicks from Google ads. The keywords are not low according to Google. Shall I raise the bids? Yes. Remember, if you're not getting enough traffic, it usually means raise the bids. If you're getting too much traffic, lower them, okay? You should also, Morton, you should be able to check your search impression share too. That's gonna tell you if you're less than 10%, because it doesn't go, it'll say like 11%, 12, 15, 20, whatever, but when it goes below 10, it just gives you less than 10%. That's also a telltale sign. No traffic and less than 10% means there's just, you need to bid. You need to bid more. You're bidding too low. If I get a new computer with a new IP address and a new credit card, along with all new details, will Microsoft consider me as a new person, even if I use the same name on my credit card? I think what's less important than a new computer is more important on getting a business. Computer is going to cost more money than getting a new LLC or something like that. You know, I would spend the money on getting a new LLC and getting a credit card that's attached to that LLC and having a new address and things like that. That's going to be more beneficial to you. Somebody said, if 10 people need help with my questions, who cares about your golfing desires? I mean, I suppose I understand that, but I'm also like not a slave here. Like, you know, I want to make sure you guys are getting value. So if only 10 people are showing up on a webinar, it means that people probably aren't very interested in that webinar. So I want to be able to make sure that we're providing something you're interested in that's worth everybody's time, right? So don't take it as like, I hate you guys and I don't want to show up. That's not what I was trying to say, you know. I feel like this is one of those things sometimes it's like, well, you know, sometimes I just say stuff that like I was going to upset somebody with the words that came out of my mouth. So it is what it is. But I'm sorry you took it that way. That's not how it was meant. When you're going into a new niche, how do you figure out when to kill a campaign if you're willing to lose X amount on the front end? Is there a way to figure out how much an email lead is actually worth in a different niche? Did I release that video this week? I didn't release that video this week, but we did talk about it on the webinar last week. Or did I release the video last week? I can't even remember. Hold on. So many days meld into one here. I think there was a video that shows long-term, the average cost per lead is going to be worth around 30 to 40 cents, right? So if you have 100,000 leads on your list, which I know you're like, guys, I'm just trying to get 100 people on my list. But if you have 100,000 people on your list, for example, it's going to be worth, each lead is going to be worth about 400 bucks, okay? Sorry, 40 cents. So if you get like 1,000 opens a day on your list, you could make 400 bucks. You send 2 emails a day, it could be worth 800 bucks, multiplied by 30, you're at 24,000 a month, okay? That's kind of how that works. But take a look at the big picture, okay? The big picture gives you a really good understanding. And when you do the math on like, okay, you know, if I'm making $1 a lead and taking in 1,000 leads a day, if I'm paying $1 a lead, I should say, and I'm making 1,000 leads a day, but I'm losing 30% on the front end. So that means I'm losing 300 bucks a day and I lost $9,000 a month. But if I made 24,000 a month and lost 9,000, my net is 13. I'm pretty happy making 13 grand a month. That's the kind of math and scenarios you got to run through. Okay. And that's going to give you your acceptable point where it's like, okay, I want to make money on the front end, but I also want to get a boatload of leads because I'm going to make a lot of money mailing them. Right. So getting a boatload of leads is really the way to go. That's really your long-term benefit here. Yeah, want to make money on the front and get leads, that's always possible. But it's sometimes, you know, if I'm going to get 300 leads a day and make money, or I'm going to get 800 leads a day and lose a little bit of money, for me, in my business, I'll lose a little bit of money to get those 800 leads. That's how I operate. I'm not telling you guys you need to operate like that. You need to do that math for yourself, okay? Great question though, Norman. All right. Is one ad group with 20 keywords all right to run Google ads for the first time to test? I want to think is get things going and not wait around if you think it's all right. Yeah, don't wait around for me to give you the stamp of approval. The training's there. If it says it's good, go do it. You know, I totally get it. You know, we're all running things for the first time and we're all like, want to make sure everything's perfect, but there is no such thing as perfect marketing. You're going to make mistakes along the way and that's okay. We'll learn and we'll make it together. But yeah, so totally, man, like 20 keywords, one ad group. I recommend at least getting 3 ad groups to start, but if you want to start smaller, you're more than welcome to start smaller. All right, I've been out of the mix since February. I'm in module 2, creating a landing page and float funnels. My questions are there any other issues with editing text in float funnels? I'm trying to edit the text and the pop-up box does not show up, not being able to edit any text. It should be fine. I know they changed stuff yesterday. It kind of goes along with my point on mobile responsiveness. Stick around, there'll be a whole video. I'll show it live, how to make a page and stuff like that. How much would you recommend for ad spend per month, or is it just better to test for ourselves? You know, it's, first of all, when I test an ad myself, I only test an ad for myself at like $100 a day to start, okay? And I spend millions of dollars on Google ads and Bing ads every single year. So even at my testing phase, I don't want to spend $1,000. I know Google can spend that very quickly. And if my offer stinks, I don't want to be out there. I don't want to be out a lot of money. I'm just like you guys. I might have a little bit more capital play with these days. I've worked myself into that situation. But if I was starting out, I know when I started on ads, like, oh, I'd probably want to start at like, 25 bucks a day, 50 bucks a day, and kind of grow from there, get my feet wet. So from that example, 25 times 30, 750 a month. So somewhere between, I'd say you probably need at least 500 bucks in your first month ish, 3 to 500 at the very low end to get started. 300 bucks a month is 10 bucks a day, right? So you got to think about $10. If you're paying 50 cents a click, that gets you 20 clicks. If you're getting a 30% opt-in rate, that gets you 6 leads. Out of those 6 leads, maybe 3 or 4 convert, or higher, really depends. But like you gotta, if you're spending 10 bucks to make 9 bucks or something, it's kind of hard. It's going to be a long, drawn out process to get things going, right? So it's your risk tolerance too, and I totally appreciate that. So I gave you an example. I don't think you want to really go below 3, but you don't need to spend $5,000 either. Somewhere between 3 and 800 is probably a good number, and it's up to your risk tolerance from there. Okay, great question though. If I'm following the steps in the checklist for Microsoft and Google Ads, how worried should I be about a Microsoft and Google ban? You shouldn't really be worried at all because you followed all the steps. And unless Google and Microsoft wake up on the wrong side of the bed and suspend you, that would be weird. And if they did, you could call them and be like, I've done everything right. What's your problem? And 99 times out of 100, they'll give you your account back. Sometimes with new accounts, when you start running, they put you into review and you might go to suspend it and you call them up and be like, hey, we just have this question. You answer it. It's pretty standard, right? Is ClickMagick fine, or do you recommend FunnelFlux? I only use FunnelFlux these days. You can use whatever tracking software you want. I didn't even know ClickMagick was around. That was like the first tracking software I used back in the day. I thought it didn't really do much. I know lots of people that loved it, but I hated it. So, but if you love it and it works, all the power to you. Chris wants a shout out. So shout out to Chris Madison. There you go, buddy. Is there danger of putting too many keywords in the ad group level? Microsoft is suggesting 400 plus keywords. No, there's no danger, but you don't really want to start at 400 because that could kill your spend. Just stick around 20 and kind of increase from there. When running ads on a low budget, does it make sense to run one ad group at a time? Yeah, if you were spending 10 bucks a day and you have 3 ad groups, you're not really, it's gonna be hard for Microsoft to spend that money evenly across the ad groups. So in that situation, Gus, it probably would make sense to start with one ad group. How many campaigns do you run inside of a single URL? One campaign only is all you need. And then again, you're adding stuff at the ad group level. You wouldn't really need to have like multiple rent to own campaigns, right? Everything would just be done under the same ad group, and every ad group has multiple keywords, and every ad group has one ad, and they all use the same URL. How many search terms do we need? Search terms, you're not bidding on search terms, keywords, right? The search terms are what come up from the keywords. Where's that video? Module 3 or 4, there's a whole good video on match types and things like that. Can't see the questions. Nobody can ever see the questions on Zoom. Only I can see them. How many total ads should I aim for? 1 per ad group. That's it. That's all you need. There's no traffic at all. Back to Morton's question. Yeah, if there's no traffic and there's no search impression share, raise that bid, my friend. Keep raising it 10% a day, and eventually traffic will come, or try different keywords, things like that. Remember, you got to realize the Google Keyword Planner, you can't really trust their volume estimates, their competition. You can't trust it too much. Today, Google Ads shows 2 conversions, but Max Bounty says 11 clicks. Shouldn't these be the same? It really depends. Check your tag is set up properly. If you're looking at today, Google is always behind. I always only look at yesterday. I don't know, Google, for what they are, a gazillion-dollar company, they can't report conversions live very well. So look tomorrow and see what Max Bounty versus Google says. I bet you it'll be really, really close. Don't look live. It's just horrible. Microsoft is better than Google at that, but still also not very good. Great question. I made edits on step 1 on my page. Is there any way to push the edits to step 2 and page step 3 so they look similar? No, and no page builder is ever going to do that. Each page, period. Lead pages, ClickFunnels, they're their own unique URL, their unique page. You need to go in and make it. The best way to do that would be make pages to step one and then duplicate step one again, and maybe make little changes on step 2 and 3. If you made major changes on step 1, you're like, oh, I don't have to make those major changes on step 2 and major changes on step 3. I would make the major changes on step 1, press the duplicate button, and then go into the new page that's going to be my new step 2 and make the minor changes, whatever that. Hopefully that made a lot of sense. For below the fold, can I use content from a website with terms, copy paste if I state that it's from a certain website? No. Copy, paste, and change it up. Make it your own unique content. Very, very, very important. How could I get an LLC? Just Google that up, my friend. Or actually, the Prime Corporate Services is probably a good one to go to. We have a whole video on that in module 2 on business and taxes, where this thumbnail of me is just like me, like frozen in time with the worst look on my face. But primecorporateservices.com/123profits, and those guys will hook you up. I have 20 conversions in Microsoft ads, but I only see 2 new subscribers in my SendPad list. Is there an issue? Hard for me to really say. Is your tag firing properly in Microsoft, or is it over counting? Is SendPad missing leads? I would reach out to support and work through that. So thank you very much. Should the name on my privacy be my business or my domain for my website? It should be your business. It could be your domain. It really isn't super important, I would say. But if you want to be super technical, use your business name and go from there. How do I add my contact to my page? We have talked about this a few times. You don't need a contact page. You just need to add a link that says, you see in the bottom left corner there, mail to : and then your email address. And then when you click on it, it'll bring up a mail client. That's all you need. Okay. Set my max budget to $25 a day when I try Microsoft ads. My first time, somehow it ended up taking $100 a day. You know why that may be? I may have missed something. No. So the way they explain that, and that's a great question, Katie. The way they explain that is $25 per day is the average that they will spend across the month. So if you look at it, it sucks that you spend $100 on your first day. That does happen sometimes when you start an ad. But over the month, you'll probably still only spend $750. Okay. So it will even out. You might notice in a week or so, you only spend $10 a day kind of thing as they make up for the extra ad spend they spent on the first day. Does a virtual card work as well as a physical card? I would definitely try to use a physical credit card in Google and Microsoft. They don't really like virtual cards at all. Again, it just looks fraudulent. I'm not saying you're a fraud. I'm telling you what they say. And unfortunately, you got to play by their rules. How do I add my contact? Okay, I saw that one. Sorry. I have a mental block around the idea of earning via email marketing, as it deletes most such emails. How do I get past that? Also, how often do we need to email them? Let me give you a little bit of a story. And I don't know if my girlfriend would be happy with me telling this story, but it's fine because we just had this conversation yesterday. And this is a woman who has a degree in biochem, an MBA from a very reputable school in Canada, has worked as a medical sales rep in Arizona and Chicago, where I met her. And, it was a top sales award-winning medical device rep. She's also a nutritionist and just finishing off her therapist degree, switching careers into becoming like a therapist and life coach, because that's her passion. A very talented, very smart individual. Okay. And I'm not saying you guys aren't, but I'm just, giving you somebody that has this very successful, background in sales, in business, in marketing, and, she's having a bit of trouble, launching herself out there to people. And the roadblock in her head is, what if, people don't like me? And she posted something on her Instagram yesterday, and all these people reached out, and she was telling me, I don't think they're going to sign up. This person, he's 25. It's not my market. And I said, look, you might get 100 people and 98 tell you you're horrible, but the person that you think is horrible over there, this guy looks weird, he's 25, he's got his hat backwards, whatever, right? That could be a person who really wants your coaching, is going to drop you, $2,500 for your program. But unless you actually get out there and get past your own mental blocks and get past your own, I don't know how to say it. It really is. It's a scarcity mindset. Like you're caught in between the ears, right? You're afraid. You're just never going to know, right? So the only advice I can really give on that is don't overthink it. You might delete the emails, but many people don't. You might go through an offer and think there's nothing about foreclosure homes here, but there actually is. You might go through something and be like, this page is horrible. I would never enter my information. I did the same thing when I started. I drop shipped from Amazon to eBay. And I was like, why wouldn't people just go to Amazon? What if somebody gets an Amazon box? Why would anybody do this? This is horrible. This is stupid. So I did it too, but it works. It's not illegal. You're not hurting anybody. You're doing something by the book. It's totally fine. So focus less on the things that are limiting and trying to find reasons for this not to work, and focus more on it works. You're sitting here talking to somebody who was in your shoes. You guys know my story by now. I had negative $400 in my bank account with a baby on the way and maxed out debt when I started my business. I was you. Lots of you on this call have similar stories. I was you 10 years ago, I'm not now, but thank God I got past my mindset and moved towards like, you know what? F it. This guy, how I looked at it? I was like, this guy over here is making success. This guy's like, I'm smarter than that guy. You guys should look at me. Look at this guy with like, he didn't even shave today. He's got this workout Under Armour shirt. This Canadian guy can do it. Of course I can. That's how I would look at it. Who the hell is this Sean guy telling me what to do? I'm smarter than him. And if he can do it with exactly what he's teaching, I'm going to go out there and do it. And it might not happen in a week. It might take me a couple months, or might take me a whole year. I don't know, but I'm going to make it happen. That's what I would look at it as. I totally listen. I really appreciate the vulnerability you guys share with me about the mental roadblocks, and I'm not coming down on anybody because I've been there. I get it 100%. What I'm trying to do is give you the advice. And I see it even like in my own girlfriend. It's a very common occurrence. Entrepreneurship is a challenge. I still go through it. I'll come off a webinar and the software is not working. And like, I spent months building the software and now you guys are upset because the software didn't work as well. And I feel like a failure afterwards. And like, my whole day is like, oh, this sucks. Everybody's going to refund. It's horrible. And you go through that. I go through it too. It's natural as an entrepreneur, right? Because we don't have the 9-to-5 security where like I go to work at 9, I get off at 5, my day's over, I'm making all this money. I make $100,000 a year at my 9-to-5 job and it pays the bill. And on the weekends, I go to the restaurant, I go for a drink, and that's my life. I can turn work off. It's a constant go. So some days are harder than others, but ultimately how you get past the roadblocks is setting short-term goals, understanding the big picture, and thinking always positively. Everything is a neutral circumstance. A neutral circumstance is, let me see here, email marketing, right? And the neutral circumstance is, the two sides are, you don't think it will work, or it clearly works because other people are doing it. So if you could just look at it from that perspective, and this like, I don't think it'll work, because that's a very natural response. Everybody has it. But if you can start to look at things as a neutral circumstance for what they are and be like, email marketing clearly works because people are making millions doing it, then you can forget this side of things because doesn't matter anymore because it works, and forget the fact what you would do. So hopefully that was a valuable little mental thing. I'm going to get into mindset coaching one day. I've been better at it every time. All right, I'll take a few more questions here, guys. Sorry, I went on a little thing there, but I think a lot of it is there's technical issues I can't really help out with on a webinar. I don't know why somebody duplicated a page and the links I can't see, so I got to send you the support on that. And I can definitely answer ag questions and things. But I think sometimes the biggest roadblock for even the most successful, smart woman I know in my life is still right in between the ears. It's for everyone. So it's a very natural thing. And it's one of those things you just have to like drill into yourself day in, day out. When I got divorced, a little funny story here. It was the worst moment of my life. Like they say, there's death and there's divorce, right? And you go through the grief, remorse, bargaining, all those same stages of death. And it's a very challenging situation. And I felt so down on myself. It was a really challenging situation. I remember when it was all over, And I was moved out and I was sitting in my condo and it was a Sunday night and I wasn't at the bar and my friends weren't around and I was just sitting there in my condo and I just like cried for like an hour straight. And it was just like, oh my God, I'm divorced and the party that's over. Like I don't have my wife anymore. My kids are with her and everybody's asleep right now. And this is Sean in his condo. And it was a really hard moment. And one of the things I'm full vulnerability. I went to a therapist for a long time just to like get past that hurdle. And I'm very open about that. And one of the things that helped me get over it was literally looking in the mirror every day, making eye contact and saying, I love you, Sean. You know how hard and corny that sounds? But after a while, it really sticks with you and you learn to believe that. Like, yeah, I am great. My life is great. And divorce sucked, but it was meant to be. And that's that. So I challenge you to do a similar exercise every morning when you feel those negativities creeping up in your head. Maybe get up in the morning and be like, you know what? I'm going to crush this business today. And then when these negative things, like, the first couple of weeks, you're going to be like, oh, this is corny. It's really weird and it's woo woo and it doesn't work or whatever. I'm telling you, a funny thing happens 30, 60, 90 days in. All those little worries that creep up, you're able to push them away so much easier because you know you're going to crush that shit. All right. So hopefully that's very helpful. Thank you for all the comments there. I appreciate that. Anyways, let me answer a couple more technical questions. I didn't really mean to like come into this call going into my whole divorce story, but hopefully that's very helpful. If I'm being real, like I'm not gonna sit here and hide behind things. And more real and vulnerable, like we can all relate to each other. I'm just a human on the other end of this too, and I've been where you guys have been, and I want to help you get across it as well. Is there a way to do it to delete the campaign? I'm sure I did everything correct and went back and recreated it. I think you're talking about Microsoft there, Tina. All you need to do is pause it. You don't really need to delete. So you can hover over, I don't have Microsoft ads open in for the purpose of time, but you'll see like a green dot, hover over it, click it, and you'll see like the pause icon. If you really want to delete it, you can select the checkbox beside it. And I believe under the edit button above it, there should be a delete campaign button. Okay. So I'm sorry I don't have Microsoft open, but hopefully that was helpful. Has the processing page been fixed yet? Yeah, that was fixed a while ago. Put that code in the header. Now it even saves without adding the character afterwards. It should work 100%, okay? One more question, and then I want to take a poll, and we'll go in and we'll go in there. All right, sorry, I'm just going through, trying to scroll through past the thank you for sharing your story part. You guys are welcome. I appreciate all the positive comments in here. I think if everybody was just a little bit more open and vulnerable, we'd have a much better world. And it's tough, like, I don't want to get a whole thing, but, kind of being a man, you're kind of taught growing up, be a man, like, don't share your feelings. And so it's kind of been grilled in you, right? So it's like the more I've like been more vulnerable and been open, it's like, oh, like if I'm open with my girlfriend or my kids or my friends, like I get better results. What a concept, so just a thought. Okay, one more thing. Susan, I see that meditation for fidgety skeptics. All right, I have 9 credits. I will literally take you up on that. Is the cookies banner ready yet? I heard it's coming out on Friday. You know what? They released it. And like I said, it wasn't ready for prime time. We did release it on the 14th, but if I accepted it on this page and then I went to another page, it will pop up again. And we also only had it on by default. There was no way to turn it off. So in America, you don't need a GDPR page. So I was like, guys, we cannot release it like this. Once somebody accepts it on one page, it should never show up again. And number 2, we should have the ability to hide it. I don't want it on everybody's page. I did not want any more tickets on this stuff. So stay tuned. Okay. Hot seats. One last question. A hot seat is when I literally will be taking some of them. This person is vulnerable. They're willing to share their page, their ad account, everything. I'm going to go through their ads, their pages, what they're doing, and give some perspective and feedback of what I would do if this was my account. And how to go forward. Okay. One last question, guys. Thank you very much. Appreciate all the feedback here for me sharing my story. One last thing I wanted to talk about is, and we'll get into this more, like just because I mentioned it, but type a 1 in the chat as we move past the core curriculum. I don't know. We're talking months down the road, guys. Don't like this is not coming next week, but for some of you who've been with us in the past, for new people, and I know some people were like, I want to mix, but give me a 1 if you would prefer just us moving to, a couple webinars a month, or type of 2, if you would prefer, either once or twice a week coaching calls, something like this, something like these office hours to continue. And I know some of you are like, I want both, but like if you had a choice as we move into the curriculum, would you rather continue to learn about new topics on a webinar style? That's number one. Or number two, would you rather like continue to just have like weekly coaching Q&A office hour style things where you can ask questions live to myself or Aiden or another coach on our team? Okay. Now I'm just going to take a quick gauge. Oh, wow. That's kind of what I thought. Lots of twos, couple ones. And I was gonna say, I think what we would do, and this is great, we'll continue to ask these questions. Thank you guys for the feedback. My personal thoughts was like, you know, like I said, and it's not because I want to go golfing and I hate you guys. I think that may be coming across to a couple people the wrong way. It's just like for all of us, if nobody cares about the webinar and there's like a handful of people, I'll show up. That's my job. I will show up, but it doesn't seem like it's beneficial if only a handful of people are showing up, right? I want to benefit you guys. You guys paid to be here. Let's benefit, right? Let's stay engaged. So if it means that you guys want more office hours and less webinars, then we should give you what you want, give the people what they want. And then if there's a webinar that comes up that makes a lot of sense, obviously we can add that one in too. So my thoughts are we would focus more on like the office hours with adding in a webinar here and there when it makes sense. Instead of like maybe in the middle of August coming up with a webinar topic where nobody really cares about it as much, you know, and it's just like, it's a real slog for everybody, right? So, but yes, guys, you ain't letting me go. I'm with you all year, whether you like me or not. We're going to drag you by the feet, kicking and screaming until you get across the finish line. Trust me, we do it every single year. All right. Anyways, guys, thank you for that feedback. Thank you for this. I honestly, I really had a blast sharing my story there. I like being vulnerable and open. I think that's very helpful to have. See, guys, again, I wasn't born into privilege. I grew up, you know, my story. So I like when I speak to people on these trainings, it's like I think of myself where I was 10 years ago, and I'm really just trying hard to help you across the finish line as best I can. So anyways, guys, tomorrow, 1 o'clock, tune in. It's gonna be a really, really good webinar. Like I said, we're gonna be reviewing people's accounts live. We have some other surprises, contest announcements, things like that. See you tomorrow. Thanks a lot. Bye.